Good evening, Mayor. We're live.
Okay, great. Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of Council of July 29th. It is 7 p.m. and I'll call the meeting to order. Before we get into the adoption of the agenda, any concerns, Council, with conflicts, anything? Yes, Councillor Shepherd.
Oh, no conflict, but sorry.
Okay, so then we have an agenda. I wanted to check, I know in terms of perhaps reordering to accommodate some visitors. We've got one item 6.2 where Mr. Shirley has got to get home, I believe. Okay, and is a representative at all from 6.3, the Swarney Lumber? Is there anybody here from the client or from the applicant? No, okay. So you're okay if we don't? Yep, very good. In which case, and are we keeping 5.3? Mr. Yates? Yes, okay, thank you. Okay, and then Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, through the chair, I wonder if I could add an item to business item 5.5 regarding replacing the deputy mayor for the month of August.
Okay, so we'll make that 5.5. Okay, so the only amendment is to add 5.5. And with that, moving it with that, all in favor, I'm seconding, all in favor, adopted. All right, without further ado, oh no, I get to do a proclamation, and I wonder, is Annika Webb here? Great, okay. So it's very much my pleasure to declare August 31st. We don't meet in the month of August, so we're doing it a little bit early, but we've got a proclamation for International Overdose Awareness Day in the District of Sechelt being August 31st. And welcome, Annika, if you'd like to come up, just sit here, and I understand you've got a short presentation. Just press the perfect. Yeah,
Thanks.
great.
Yeah, Annika wasn't able to be here today.
Oh,
My name is Jenny Biltek. I work with Vancouver Coastal Health, and I'm here with my community colleague, Mandy Hardwick with Rain City. Yeah, and I think there's a slide presentation. So Monday, August 31st, thank you so much for proclaiming this International Overdose Awareness Day in Sechelt. It is a coast-wide day to acknowledge individuals who have died from overdoses. In the last 10 years on the Sunshine Coast, over 80 individuals have died on the coast from toxic drugs and overdoses. And that does not include the many people, parents, siblings, colleagues who are grieving the death of other individuals who have died across the province and across Canada from toxic drugs and overdoses. Just forward to the next slide, please.
okay, perfect.
So 80% of deaths in the province of BC were caused by fentanyl. 70% of people who died from toxic drugs were men. And 68% of the people who died were between the ages of 30 and 59. And 53% of those deaths occurred in a private home. So that's an apartment building, a townhouse, a condominium building, residential home. While 28% occurred in other residences such as SROs, shelters, or hotels. And 21% of people who died were employed in trades, trucking, and or were equipment operators. And 35 to 40% of all First Nation toxic drug poisoning deaths are First Nations women and girls. So I think that these numbers often do not reflect what we perceive to be the impact of toxic drugs, particularly in this community and in the communities across British Columbia. They are young men who are working, who are living on their own, who are using on their own. They are young women and Indigenous girls who do not have access to adequate support with generational trauma. So I share those numbers today because I think it is important for us to acknowledge that the faces of toxic drug overdoses may not be the ones that we assume that they are. So thank you so much for acknowledging today, the 31st, and I invite all members of council and all members of the public to come and join. Your life has likely been touched by somebody who uses drugs, who has died from drugs, who perhaps has experienced an overdose. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. And here, shall I give you this? There. Yeah. Chris, thanks. Okay, council, August 31st. Okay, well, now we'll call Mr. Steve Wilson up, if you would, Mr. Wilson, and you. No, you don't. It's on. So you're live.
Just want to thank Mayor and Council for giving us some airtime this evening. My name's Steve Wilson. I'm from the Vice President of the Sunshine Coast Drag Racing Association. I'm also a managing partner at Sunshine Coast GM down in Wilson Creek. Drag racing has been a passion of mine since I was a young kid. And since I've become vice president, since I've been up here, I've really realized, or we've really realized, the need for overnighting for our racers, our out of town racers. There's just no areas for them to come and stay and race with us. And it's really important for the sustainability of our club. Now, I know we're not going to be at this point. We had overnighting at the airport for 18 years, and it went away. But I'm here to ask if we could have an alternative in 2 spots. And I think there's a slide, or someone had a slide up here for me. So there's 2 locations that would really help us out for the August event that's coming up. So that would be Friday evening of August 6th, Saturday evening of August 7th, and Sunday, August 8th, to be able to facilitate our out-of-town racers. And again, accommodations on the Sunshine Coast in general are super tight. And with the rigs and the trailers for the race cars, there's no really other place to facilitate them. But this, we're here to ask if you guys would let us use this for this August event so that we could pull our out-of-town guests in for our racing. And okay, again, we're looking for a compromise. I've sent some. We've had some emails back and forth, and so I think everyone's kind of aware of kind of what we're looking for. We take pride in our setup. We take a ton of pride in maintaining our airport. We take a ton of pride of the cleanliness of it, the tear down. Yeah, we're really legit. We take this seriously. So we're just asking for those 3 days.
Okay, and just to clarify, I think you're talking about Friday night?
Yeah,
Saturday
so it'll
night
be a
and Sunday
Friday,
night?
yeah, Friday night,
So that's the.
Saturday night, and Sunday night.
So
So
7, 8, 9.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
No, 6.
No.
7, 8, 9. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, 7, 8, 9.
Okay.
And the impact on that area would be, there would be no impact on it. It would be spotless as found. And actually, during the day, there'll be nothing parked there. It would just be after the races, we'd have to come back down that road and then park the trailers accordingly. So they would only be there for the evening and then be gone during the day.
Thank you. Councillor Top?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm super supportive of this and I appreciate the group recognizing the challenges of cohabitating with an airport. I think these are excellent alternative locations. I'm glad they're gonna work. There's a question here from Councilor McLaughlin. I don't want to preempt her, but I'm generally supportive of these dates and those locations. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Inkster, and then Councillor McLaughlin.
Yeah, obviously your group's responsible. You've done this so many years and the discussions have always been since I've been here a long time with your group that it's an airport and the group knows that, but it's an opportunity to race on the Sunshine Coast. So you're using the airport and you're using it responsibly. Always supportive and always supportive of facilitating what in cases where you get into these crunch times where you need to find these things. I'm familiar with the two pieces of land. And they're very separate from the airport, obviously, and down the hill from and quite a bit. And I've been around there quite a bit and there's a nice trail system there. So I use it and it's just trail walkers, I think, would be through there. Other than I think it might be for the sewage system, one of the fields there. That's, I think, why they exist. But my question to you is your group, obviously, because you've obviously spoken to the airport manager, I think I think that's what we call Greg, because he's here. And so obviously you've talked to him and it works according to what with the airport, jives with the airport. So, yeah.
I would hope so. I haven't
Yeah.
talked to him directly myself,
Yeah.
but I know John Jeffries, our member on the executive, has talked to Greg as well.
Okay.
So
Very
Okay,
good.
great. Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor McLaughlin.
I don't mean to preempt Councillor Bell, but she asked me if they had porta potties up there.
Yeah, we can, yeah, well, so the motorhomes that will be up there in question will be obviously self-contained. And it isn't a problem for us to put a porta potty up there as well, and it would be removed immediately on the Monday.
Yeah.
And again, we're, super conscious of where we live, where we race, what we want to be standing for in our community. And yeah, it would be left in as good a shape or better after it was left.
Sorry.
Very good. And follow up?
I wasn't wondering if any of your vehicles use leaded gas. Because that's something that would be perhaps at the airport, but.
Yeah,
I'm just
so
thinking, gee.
it's a form of leaded gases. It would be a race fuel, but there'd be none of that. Obviously, being spilt out, it's always contained.
And that's not on the vehicles that would be parked here.
That's correct. That's not there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The vehicles that are parked there are unleaded. So
Right. Well, I'm glad there is a compromise here, because I see the airport as kind of a multi-use and recreational, and so you guys are recreational, and that's great. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Councillor Shepherd and then Councillor Bell. Oops,
Thank you, Chair. Just so I understand, is location 2 is on the approach road to the airport, but not through the security gate. Is that correct?
yes, that's correct. I think it's right across from Olson Electric.
Okay,
On that area there.
and location 1, is that through the security gate though?
No,
Okay.
it's the parking lot before the security,
Great.
before the secured gate.
Okay, thanks. I am just curious from staff, it was approved for 18 years and then not approved for the last 5. And I'm just curious why it was not approved.
okay, that was within the airport, not these
Oh, okay.
locations.
No, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Councillor Bell?
Okay, mine's just a general comment. I think that that your willingness to work well, and know that you're part of this community. And I can hear that you're very committed to keeping within all the regulations. Obviously, you know what those are, fire regulations, et cetera. I think this is a great opportunity and a great partnership. Economically, it really helps the coast.
It's a
And-
huge economic impact for the coast and you know, Lord knows we all need that right now. So it's great.
Absolutely. So these are the opportunities that we can really show that we can work together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Rowe, full house.
Well, these guys, you can always count a full house when drag racing is on the menu. And always appreciate that and grateful that it looks like a compromise is at hand. So my only question or concern would really be about fire, which is on everybody's mind. And even though we all know nobody should be having them, is there any concern about that? Is there?
Yeah, there's again, you know, safety is of utmost importance to us on the track and off the track and in our own personal homes where our cars are kept, and there is an abundance of fire extinguishers in everyone's trailers, and
Okay.
you know, there's no everyone's super conscious of it. So I don't think there's any worries there whatsoever. We do have the equipment on board, the vehicles that will be staying there to
Great.
address anything while if something did happen, God forbid, but while that's being addressed, the 911 would be called as well.
Okay.
So I think, again, you're talking about outdoor or burning.
Yeah. We-
Yeah,
Used
so-
in outdoor cooking.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah, so cooking, cooking would be no open fire, obviously, and would be a regulated, at best, a barbecue or, you know, for an evening. Yeah.
I'm happy
Okay.
to move a motion
Okay.
that,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah.
Miss Counselor Toth has one written. I'll withdraw my motion that I haven't written yet. Because he's
All
got it
right,
done.
Counselor Toth.
I think it's as simple that council supports the use of locations 1 and 2 as indicated on the map by the Sunshine Coast Drag Racing Association for the purposes of overnight camping between August 7th and 9th, 2026.
Inclusive. Yep. Second, all right. Any other discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Thank you so much.
Great.
We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
have a
guys,
great
for
evening.
All you do. Hey, council, that's great. So we'll then go to item 5.1, which is the community safety report. And I guess Ms. Roberts.
Sure, thank you. This comes before you because we have committed to bringing the minutes of our monthly meeting to council as soon as possible after the meeting. As you know, our community safety coordinator has resigned. There's nothing really to mention there other than it ended up not being a fit. We will be looking for somebody in the near future, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything to add, Councillor Shepherd?
Sure. Through the chair, I wonder if I could ask Ms. Roberts if she could comment on what's happening with the tent encampment, what's happening with the proposed fencing by BCH, those two items. Thanks.
BCH, yeah, BC housing, right? Yeah, right. Please.
I will start with the latter. So with BCH, I have escalated. We had a meeting yesterday, and there was somebody there from BCH that I hadn't spoken to, so I've asked him to follow up with the folks that I've asked for a fencing update. So I'm hoping that will come to us quickly. Other than that, I don't have an update on the fence. After tonight, the minutes will be passed for the resolution for staff to write a letter to the residents regarding the fencing from our previous meeting. So we will be doing that. And as of yesterday, there were 5 tents. Most of them are in that lot, and we're trying to protect the area of Lamprey Lane and and high tide to just ensure the safety of the residents of the encampment. And we're also not allowing residents to be on the corner where the hardscaping is, just to make sure that that area is clear for the underground services work that had already happened, but they might need to go back. So there are folks in Lot 1. We have made BC Housing or BCH aware of that. And so far they seem to be saying that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Tough, please. Oh, sorry, did you, on that same point, please.
Thanks. If you could, is there any comment on the construction, the servicing? Any idea how long that will go on for? Thanks.
The main part of the construction has been completed. Our chief building official, James Nios, has said that he'll let us know if there's any update. They did say they were going to come back for some above ground works. We just haven't heard a timeline on that. Thank you.
Above ground, okay, please.
Thank you. I have heard from a couple of folks, and I'm just looking to confirm this through staff, if they're aware of other locations around the community where there is tenting that might be occurring, supervised or unsupervised. I'm not looking to know exactly where. I'm just wondering if there are other encampments that are setting up around the community, and if staff or RCMP or BC Housing or Rain City are interacting with those users as well. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Through the chair, we are aware of a few that have cropped up, and then they are quickly, we encourage those folks to move along either that day or the next day, depending on where they are at. When it happens, we will hear about it either from RCMP or we're the ones that are notifying the RCMP. We're working really collaboratively on any encampments that pop up. We don't allow for tenting in other spaces. So when those do happen, if you see them, we're aware of them and we're working on it. But the main encampment is the only one that we're allowing to happen.
Okay, yeah. Please, Counselor Inkster.
Just because we're talking about this more so recently with all the activity in Sechelt over the last few years. And obviously it's a forest, a fire concern a lot of times in the forests that we talk about. I don't know if council's aware, but the property that's now the watermark used to be called the Smith Tong property. And it had tall trees in it, and it had foliage that was 8 feet high. And people didn't know this, but there was a lot of tenters and homeless in there, because of course it was in the middle of all the services in Sechelt. But that was ongoing for a number of years until the watermark was built. So there was a lot going on in there, but it was just hidden by foliage. So community didn't really know, except the people that were downtown. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can I just clarify then, the fencing, we're still waiting on BC Housing, I guess, to come forward and explain what they're going to do. Is that around the shelter, do we know? Or, because we talk about Lot 1 and the supportive housing and the shelter and ebb tide strata. So what is BC Housing tentatively agreed to, perhaps, is the first part of the question.
And the fencing thank you for the question. The fencing that I was speaking to is around Lot 1. So they have committed to the perimeter being entirely fenced. So right now there's that, the fencing on the front on high tide, but the entire property was looking to be fenced. I don't have an update on the shelter, but it's more of a plan with their upgrades and renovations that are happening. So I can ask for a sort of a detail on when the fence comes versus when the building is being renovated, but I'm not exactly sure about the timeline. I can get that answer for council though.
Right. Okay, thank you. I'm not sure, well, we've talked about this, so I'll just say I don't know the fence even on high tide right now is I saw somebody today, and if you watch for a minute, you know how to disengage the 2 panels and get in. So it's not exactly a fence, but the other one under your report on page 6, I believe, the community action team cleaning up certain locations. I was wondering, is there a way to reach them to say, hey, this area needs cleanup? You know, is it how, I don't mean to put you on the spot, maybe you can let the public know, for that matter, if somebody does find somebody camping and there's garbage, would CAT be willing to clean it up in somewhere outside of the immediate BC housing area.
I could certainly ask them that question. That would be something that could go through bylaws or through our community safety at seashell.ca. When it goes through community safety, we'll triage it from there. So whether it was that we reach out to CAT or to BC Housing or to Rain City, there's, when we receive public feedback through the community safety at seashell.ca website, keep promoting that. We then just from there answer the complaints within a 48-hour turnaround.
Okay, and problem with that is it might be gone, but, okay. The other one I wanted to check on, do we still have security? Evening
Yes.
security? So
Yep.
that is still, perhaps, I wasn't sure of that, but, now we all do know. So, and last, lot one, we understood the gardeners were going to come back every 2 weeks to maintain it.
I hadn't heard 2 weeks. They were reviewing and they're connected to Rain City. So the Rain City workers are letting BC Housing know if it needs to be done. So if there was a quick grow because of a recent rain, then they would come back earlier than 2 weeks. But if
Yep.
it doesn't, if it's dried and not growing, then they wouldn't be back.
Okay, it's growing, maybe thanks to the last few days of rain. Thank you.
Yeah, can I
Mm.
clarify on the 48 hours? That's how often we have to reply to the bylaw officers and myself are checking at least a minimum of twice per day. So if somebody has an urgent issue, it would be attended to within hours.
Okay, I'd just like to, I think it makes sense if CAT is doing this, if there was a mechanism for them to get the information directly, that would be efficient. But
Yeah, we have a community safety technical working group meeting coming up. So I will ask them then and see how we can better collaborate. Thank
great,
you.
Thank you. Counselor Bell?
Thank you. Through the chair. Just clarification, I think you mentioned this, Director Roberts. The renovation that's happening is the plan still that Rain City staff are moving in there and they'll have offices where the pizza place was, that whole building? Is that still the plan?
Thank you for the question through the chair. As far as I know, the plan hasn't changed, but I will ask for an update after this meeting because I'm aware that I don't have updated information on the renovation there. So I'll definitely check.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
I think it'll just make such a difference to have, an office there and people there, and it'll just add to that whole sort of vibrancy there and clean up things as well. So that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, council? We'll take the report as read. Thank you. Council, we then go to 5.2, second quarter report. And do you want to proceed, Mr. Yates?
Staff are here to answer any questions council may have.
Council? Guys.
Marks look great.
Okay, I'll jump in and pending somebody else's hand going up. Middle of page 8, the number of unpaid business licenses. If I read it correctly, to 19 when there were 235 3 months ago. Is that good news or are we, is it the people have paid or are people dropping out like businesses not renewing? Mr. Allen.
In this case, it refers to people that have businesses that are operating that had not paid business license by the end of January. Per our perfunctory notice. And then we followed through with additional letters in March. And of the additional letters, as you can see, most people have now paid with the exception of a small amount. There have been some businesses that have closed or moved, other businesses that opened, but these are just the renewals and the lack thereof, but we're working our way through the list and finding success.
Right, I realize I did see somewhere else though, and this really where I was going. I don't think we got 220 people paying business licenses. I think there was less than that renewed and some dropped off, closed.
These will be, some of these are long-standing businesses that hadn't paid and didn't
Yeah,
heed the notice.
No,
Some
no,
are
that-
new, and so it's a mixture, but
right.
large, pardon me? That is the number, yeah.
Don't understand, but
Mhm.
it's anyways, okay. So We'll come to that later. Counselor Toth, please.
Thank you. I mean, on page 8 of the report, for example, there's a few spots throughout the report where AI tools are referenced. And I'm just wondering if staff are putting their minds to any sort of an AI usage policy for contemplation. One was just approved at the regional district and it's super short. It's like a page, page and a half. But with the pace of AI tool development right now, it was one of those things that it was really important to get something on paper. And it'll probably have to be updated, every year or every less than a year with the pace of development. But I'm just wondering if it's something that staff have put their mind to yet. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Yates?
Yes, we're certainly contemplating a policy at some point. I don't think there's any rush to do it right now. We're using it at a very internal, low-level testing stage at this point, just for efficiencies. It's not doing anything beyond that. We're not writing giant reports with it or anything.
Please, Counselor McLaughlin.
Thank you through the chair. Again, getting back to the bylaw enforcement. That's page, oh gosh, it's hard to read on here. Yeah, 34 of 133. Just wondering, building, burning, business license, we covered that. Dog, what? Barking, running, terrorizing small children, being coddled by seniors for too long.
Certainly, oh, good question, Councillor McLaughlin, and through the chair. Dog barking, dog noise is prevalent, and dog attacks as well. There have been some at the dog park and in neighborhoods. One of our bylaw officers keenly takes the lead in that. It's hard work, it's emotional work. People and dogs get injured, and it's an important service that we provide to follow through and investigate and act accordingly on that. Yeah.
Also, I was wondering with burning, is that typically managed by the fire department or? That's who I call, but.
Although Sechelt Fire is independent from the District of Sechelt, our bylaw officers and their staff do work quite closely together and determine who might need to respond if it's burning, as in a fire somewhere, albeit small, or just somebody in the backyard burning, making smoke, or perhaps burning outside of burning allowances. We do work together with Sechelt Fire best we can.
Okay. And last one, property maintenance. What does that mean?
Property maintenance can be unsightly properties. We do have some of those. I think we had one where we required a remedial action from council to really get that going, but it can be unsightly property. It can be anything from garbage left strewn in a property or tarps or refuse or whatnot. And it's often complaints from neighbors where upon what's happening on a particular property exceeds the patience of the surrounding neighbors, and our bylaw staff are notified and do investigate and talk to the owners. In most cases, we have success. Their property on Wharf Avenue being a prime example, it took several months, regular maintenance and diligence with our staff and the owner to clean up, and he was quite thankful for our assistance on that one.
So that doesn't include like issues at high tide, that would be separate, you think?
That would be separate.
Yeah. I'm just wondering because I noticed, we love to grow dandelions for the bees and let the grass grow and in the areas between the property line and the street. Now, my understanding is that the land owners, the property owners of the homes are supposed to maintain those areas, but some don't. They think it is the municipality's responsibility. I'm not overly concerned, except I am thinking fire smart. Some of the high grasses that are growing makes me a little nervous in August when I think they could be a bit of a fire hazard. So do we have any rules on that or? Thanks.
That's a tough one. A lot of the boulevard areas, driveway aprons, or even where people park on the edge of road, it's quite often on road allowance. But if you look at every road throughout the District of Sechelt, we do rely upon property owners to help maintain those areas. So we don't have the specifics about tall grass or fire hazard. We can do some education where we think it's deemed necessary or appropriate, but we don't have strict regulations on the requirement to mow or maintain a hedge, for example. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Please, Councillor Bell.
Thank you, through the chair. I'm not sure if this fits here, but I'm just curious around, and whether it's bylaw, around sort of short-term rental, you know, in terms of, I haven't heard too much of recent, and kind of wondering if, without kind of putting you on the spot and asking for a big report, how are things going in that area? Is that a loaded question?
Potentially, we've received some feedback recently about perhaps having regulations determining the density of short-term rentals, how many can be in a neighborhood. That's a tough one because, for example, where are the boundaries of a particular neighborhood like Sandy Hook or Davis Bay, or is it more of a smaller area? So we have those types of inquiries and complaints. We have some about business license, but we're certainly, when it comes to noise and that feeling of helplessness that we were hearing about 4 years ago, that has changed. I think that our bylaws, the provincial bylaws, have brought some predictability, some regularity, and some enforcement ability to that. And well, it's not perfect, and there certainly are some that fly under the radar, no question. I think that we've really come a long way compared to when we created the amendments to our business license bylaw in 2022. It's leveled in that regard. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Tough.
Thank you. Actually, I just want to follow up on that because one of the things with the province changing the rules around short-term rentals is that they were going to be bringing forward enforcement teams to help with maintaining those laws that they were changing. I'm just wondering if our staff are seeing sufficient support or any support at all from the provincial enforcement teams. Thanks.
They'd be called pets, provincial enforcement teams, yes.
I might say that we know the enforcement team is there if needed, but we don't have regular contact with them. We have a good system in place here with our bylaws. It might be different in electoral areas or other municipalities that don't have as effective bylaws. I think we feel well supported internally, but it's the registration system that the province has. That is the requirement that really has changed the game more so than individuals coming out to enforce. The province is aware if a operation is not registered, and they can follow up with us and ask us, do we have a license for that? And so there's a check and balance system there that I will speak positively toward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Back to question about, we're doing 7 paving projects. I had an email the other day, when are we paving Trail Avenue from Surf Circle upwards? That's a totally different scale, I guess, is it, for that little strip that we couldn't finish years ago?
Yes, thank you for that question. So for the paving itself, it had a more complex archaeological process for the next segment of paving on trail. We did get approval for that, so we're just seeing if we can work it into the remaining budget for some of that paving. In terms of the actual project where we're expanding the active transportation facilities and changing the lighting and that type of thing, that would be another phase of likely a grant project in the future. We have applied for grants in the past and not been successful, so it's not on the books to complete that enhancement, but there may be incremental paving going up trail.
Okay, thank you. So one of the 7 is that, one of the 7 repaving projects, if I can call it that?
That's correct.
Is that strip?
Yeah.
Good, thank you. I think people will be very happy to hear that. And the other one perhaps as well for you, Ms. Lee, is on the waterfront. I see a picture of the interns, I think, cleaning up the shrubs and hedges, and it reminds me, have we looked into whether we could increase the lights, either the wattage of the lights? There's been complaints, in the winter that people are walking up and down there in the dusk and they'd like to see more lights.
Thank you. So as far as we know from the most recent complaint, which was more than a year ago, the lighting was all as constructed. We could inspect it again to ensure that everything is operating as it's intended. To extend the lighting further than that, of course, it would be another relatively significant project. But certainly we can investigate the lighting again just to ensure that it is functioning as designed. Thanks.
Maybe just put in 100-watt light bulbs instead of 60, but hey, thanks. Okay. Nothing? Okay, so a motion to accept, I guess, or second. All in favor of accept? Carried. Thank you, everybody. I know a lot of work goes into putting that together. And I hope people take a few minutes to read how well many things are going. Okay, council, so we then go to page 38, which is the development variance permit for 4686 Sunshine Coast Highway. And I guess Mr. Yates, we're in your hands.
Sorry, is there something you need?
Oh, well, yes, we have the issue of the legal proceedings that is part of this report, and I'm not sure, we were told that we were waiting on some further judicial orders. So has that, for example, been received?
We're in agreement with the applicant to have it read tonight.
Okay, so the order hasn't been received, but the applicant wants it. Okay. Okay, so council, and we have your report, Mr. Allen. Is there anything else that you want to add to this? I did note we got a 19-page document this afternoon.
Yes, I can clarify that. Essentially, what it is that the development variance permit, which was considered on multiple occasions, most recently in February of 2025, Justice Welcome in their decision basically said reconsider that. So we followed our advice from our solicitor, but we found that it might be helpful as a reminder that the development variance permit, which was previously considered, of course, is for a 40-centimeter increase from 8.5 meters to 8.9 meters. We do have the development variance permit available if you'd like to see it on the screen, and council has it as well. But essentially what the judge's decision has said is that the house is over height. The building permit was issued with the requirement to build to the flood construction level, but recognizes that there may have been some inconsistencies along the way, that council might not have had all of the facts to make its decision in February 2025. The facts are now included in the court decision, which is attached to this document. Council can choose to issue the development variance permit or deny the development variance permit. The judge hasn't determined in any way how you could make a democratic decision, but would like you to reconsider this and make the decision again to reconfirm. And so council, it's your discretion whether you wish to issue development variance permit for this property or deny it. Thank you.
Okay. So it's before us. This is where I guess our lawyer is not online. Because council, I fear this is rife with the risk of us taking a misstep. And that's where I'm concerned that we proceed appropriately. I read the judgment. I hope everybody's read it, because it's the nuances in there, and frankly, are beyond, I think we're not lawyers. So, I'm concerned about the process of what we're supposed to do tonight, because to simply look at what was presented before and make our decision. For example, there was reference to whether we should allow the applicant to present, to speak. I don't believe they're here. No. So have they been offered that opportunity? They have, Ms. Yates? Thank you. And so they've indicated they do not want to speak. Okay. When were they offered that opportunity?
Our solicitors and the applicant solicitors have been in regular contact. Both agreed that tonight would be an appropriate time for this to be considered.
No, but my question is whether they were offered.
I have not been involved in the conversations between the two legal counsels. They have discussed this and the steps forward. And I've just spoken to our legal counsel.
Okay, Councilor Inkster.
Thanks. Staff has indicated, based on your line of questioning, that the applicants are comfortable with the decision being made tonight. this decision has gone on for some time, and I think they want, by asking for it to be decided tonight, they would want closure on the issue at hand. In terms of the issue itself, I've doing my duty as a elected representative of the people of Seashelt. I think it's still overhyped, and I think that it will set precedent.
Okay, just before you get into that, because I've been trying to deal with the process before we get into the discussion of
Yes.
the reconsideration.
Okay,
So-
but
So if you wouldn't mind just.
yeah, but
hold
I'm
that
not,
for a minute.
I'm not, I don't support I don't know where you're going. So I'll, you can continue to
Okay.
speak on this, as the chair, but, I think they want a decision this evening. Thanks.
Okay, and I would have expected that to be in the staff report. That's why this is a surprise to me that this is coming to us now with these comments that the applicant is. I don't know if it was, anyways, it's new information, so I'm dealing with that as best I can. Yeah, because okay, I guess it's different. If the applicant has in fact said they're happy with it to proceed, then I was coming here to say I thought we needed to defer pending further legal advice. And I still am uncomfortable about the process that we're following because I feel we're flying blind on some of this. But I will not, on the basis of the representation that they're happy to have this before us, we can proceed. So, yes, Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, through the chair, I was prepared as well to come tonight to try and follow through with the court order, which was asking council to listen again to the properties owner's case and as to why there was an ambiguity. They felt an ambiguity in terms of direction to their consultants. I mean, I'm very interested in hearing the two sides about that. However, if the property owner wants us to make a decision, I'm very happy to do that. But I would like an intermediary step of getting a clear idea of what our legal, seeing a legal report on what advice from our lawyer is on the subject. Thanks.
Okay, so procedurally, are you saying you want to see that before you handle the before we handle the reconsideration? Okay, thank you. Okay, so I've got Councillor Toth and I don't know if you're ready for a motion to that or if you want to hear some other comments first.
Yeah, I'd like to hear comments from other councillors. Thanks.
Fine. Councillor Toth.
Thank you. I mean, I've got an entire page-long thing of comments here, but given where the conversation is headed right now, I think I'm going to leave most of it behind for the moment. In terms of process and in terms of timeline, we've only got 2 council meetings after this one. You've mentioned a number of times by email needing some legal support, or deferring it until we had some legal support. You know, I will admit, I pushed back on that because I feel that the information that we need to make the decision is here in the report today. Haven't heard from anybody else on council, by email or otherwise, indicating a need for information. Personally, I'm prepared to go forward tonight, but if yourself or Councillor Shepherd want to make a motion, we can see where that goes first. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Inkster and then Councillor McLaughlin on this discussion, this part of the discussion, please. Yeah, for now.
Seems like an odd form of procedural wrangling. I'm still not supportive of the application. Nevertheless, the information that was presented, including the court decision and the information that followed and the agreement of the owner to make the decision tonight is still before us. And yet we are now making an argument that wasn't necessarily agreed to by the owner because they would like the decision made tonight because it's been on the books for a long time and they want to go forward or make changes. And now we're proposing something else. I would say to council that that has pitfalls because if we decide not to go with the amendment and or the change to allow the height variance, then they may come back and say a couple of council members wanted to look at the legal piece. I think that it's very clear that this is a decision before us on whether we will allow change in height in the Davis Bay area. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councilor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. In terms of a legal report, I think administration has said that the lawyers have talked and they've come to an agreement that the owner could present tonight, that they recommend it. So I don't think we're going to get another legal report. I don't know what I would expect to hear. So I think that's a dead end argument. And I was hoping the owner would be here because the idea I think that we wanted to hear more about was the idea of making sure there's fairness. And the fairness would be to allow the owner to express some of her concerns more so. And I think it is kind of been a learning exercise that, you know, it's kind of nice we have a female owner for such a project and a female judge, because the idea of fairness and hearing people out is not something that typically comes in a planning report. And so I think when we get things like this that come forward for kind of unusual projects, it's important to have fairness. But other than that, I think the facts speak for themselves that, you know, we have a new zoning bylaw that has the
So,
FCL.
Councilor
et cetera.
McLaughlin, sorry.
Yeah.
So you're not
Yeah, on the point of getting lawyers and what you're talking about, I think that's kind of a moot point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You want to test the?
Yeah,
Sorry,
with the chair.
Councilor Rowe, sorry, Councilor Rowe's hand. Yeah.
What me? I'm on Team Shepherd on this. There's a few things that I read in the court order that leave me feeling like I need a bit more time, perhaps with some legal advice. And I'm not going to communicate that over email. I think that these are the discussions that we should be having here, and staff shouldn't be taking direction from us in email. So that's why I've been quiet. So first of all, it's pretty clear that the plaintiff being unable to present to us was an issue. So why won't they present? You know what, I just want to, my concern is that we don't leave the district at any greater risk and further legal costs. So there are, as I said, some things within this order that I would like to delve into.
Judgment, yeah. Okay, thank you. So let's think in the, please. Sorry. That's the petitioner, the applicant's daughter. Yeah. Perhaps we could hear from Ms. Adcock. We'll just, you should be getting a note on your screen, Ms. Adcock. If you accept it, I think it's how it works.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Fantastic. Actually, the last few minutes have been really hard to understand. We were advised by our legal counsel that the instruction had been that our presence wasn't actually required tonight. So that's the discussion between the two legal counsels. I specifically said, should I be there in person? And we were told, counsel has no further questions for you. So I just happened to dial in. And so I'm quite perplexed by the conversation that I'm watching transpire here. And I'm quite happy that it's being recorded. So anyway, that's the gist of why we're not in council chambers today, is we were actually advised that we weren't required. So that's the first point. Now, notwithstanding that, I am here, so happy to provide whatever information you would like for me to provide. I can absolutely give you a rundown of our side of the experience. Happy to kind of outline that. As you know, when this all started and the development variance permit was before council the first time, I had emailed you all a PowerPoint and an email outlining our side of what had transpired, including how we ended up in a position, to the councillor's point about being 40 centimeters over height in Davis Bay. Again,
Ms. Adcock, sorry, I want to just, because for the moment, we're still dealing with the procedural issues of whether council wants to can do a reconsideration tonight. So before we get into the history, I think, so you received advice or information that we had no questions for you.
correct.
Okay, thank you. Let's maybe just stay on the line, but mute yourself, please, and we'll deal with that procedural issue. I think let's do this properly. Again, this is where I was looking forward to some support from our legal counsel, but we'll do it with a motion. Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we do extend time to the property owner to hear the argument again. I apologize if it seems as if it's being repeated over and over, but that's what the court order dictated. So I think we should follow through with it.
Sorry, so your motion is
to have the proponent go through the argument again as to why there is ambiguity in terms of direction from staff. That's the first point. Second point, let's add this item to the next agenda. And third point, before that meeting, to hear from our legal advisor, to hear what discussions have gone on between council as final legal advice before making a decision. Thank you.
okay. So 3 points in that motion. And a second? Yep, okay. Councillor Bell, your microphone is on, or you?
No, I was going to make a comment around this as well.
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
comfortable with this decision as well, because there's inconsistencies here right now that I'm not comfortable with. So I would like to have, I will support this motion.
Okay, all right, thank you. Sorry,
I mean, from a process perspective, having heard the applicant's daughter, and you guys make fine points, so I'll support deferring it. Thanks.
all right, no, Councillor McLaughlin?
Yeah. We do have through the chair, we do have the applicant's daughter here to do exactly as you're asking here today, to go through the process. So I don't see why we would put that off. Again, getting more legal advice, I don't have any indication here that we would get any more legal advice. They've given, our CEO has given some information, and normally he deals through the lawyers. So I'm comfortable with that. And I think we should move forward and see if we will give this variance or not. Because honestly, this has gone on for so long. I mean, the report says we had like 3 council meetings to discuss this one application already. And I really don't think dragging it along, it serves anybody. So I think we should not support this
Okay,
process
thank you.
tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Top?
Thank you. Yeah, Ms. Adcock, I recognize only joined the meeting sort of by happenstance. And that, like, it's so not on for me, in light of that, because if we are supposed to be giving them an opportunity to speak, they're not necessarily prepared for it. And so I wouldn't expect it tonight.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I want to just be clear, what I'm looking for in legal advice is the process that we, with how we deal with this during this meeting or a subsequent meeting. We have you have the judge's opinion, and there may be some comments that our lawyer would offer us on how to proceed with that, but the primary thing is that we don't make a mistake in process that digs us into a deeper hole. So unless there's anything else, I'll call the question. Oh, I do want you to read it, please. Ms. Caldicott, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and please correct me if I've made any missteps. I got that I beg your pardon. That council extend time to the property owner, I believe that's Ms. Lougheed or
It
Brian,
is, it is.
to hear their argument again as to why there is ambiguity in direction received from staff. Further, that the DVB permit for 4686 Sunshine Coast Highway be added to the September 2nd regular council agenda. And further, that prior to the September 2nd council meeting, council hear advice from its legal counsel on the recent judgment and questions arising.
Very well done, capturing all that. Okay, Ms. Adcock, I see your hand up. Is there something you?
No, that was a legacy hand for just identifying that I was actually here.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'll call that the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor McLaughlin is opposed. The motion carries. So I think the consequence of that is that we leave this alone. Yeah, there's nothing else that we can do in the interim. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ms. Adcock.
Thank you. I'm going to drop now.
Yes. Okay, council, so we'll go to item 5.4 on page 66. This is the fuel at the airport. Ms. Smith.
Thank you and good evening. So staff are seeking approval to replace the airport fuel payment kiosk using $60,000 from the airport reserve. The existing kiosk failed in May and cannot be repaired due to replacement parts are obsolete. Without the kiosk, the pilots are unable to purchase fuel from the airport, and it also impacts revenues for fuel. Staff reviewed available options and recommended a replacement that provides best combination of compatibility, reliability, scaling for future growth of the airport, and value. So like I mentioned, funding would come from the airport reserve, which is established for airport infrastructure and capital needs. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Is it unleaded?
Yeah. I think it's jet fuel.
Thank you. I've got two questions. I'll ask them both and get them out of the way. This new payment system, does it have annual service fees that are either, different or in excess of what we might have currently? And then the second question I had, I believe this project was identified by staff as a budget item that needed to be taken care of in the next couple years. And so I'm seeking clarity if I'm remembering that correctly. Thank you.
Is it in this year's budget or it's, anyways, yes. Ms.
Yeah,
Smith?
thank you for the question. So the answer to the first question, the annual fees are about $1,000 more than what we're paying now. So it's $2,000 a year. And this new device is $3,200 a year, but that also includes parts and service labor, which we didn't have before. So this is sort of added value. And as far as the second question for the capital project, that was for the pump. So just for the actual fuel pump, this is for the kiosk payment system only. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Inkster?
Yeah, I remember when we installed the first one of these, and it was a big deal then to have the pilots pay locally for their fuel rather than going to other airports. So certainly I'm supportive of a continuation of this service. I'm assuming we don't really make a lot of money on it. Staff didn't speak to that. I just wondered if it's in here, but I think it's just a provision of a local service and we make some money. And I'm seeing a nod, so, yeah.
We make some, but I think
Yeah.
it's as much to attract people to come here.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, anything else, Councillor McLaughlin?
Yes, thank you. I'm just wondering, how long do these kiosks last in terms of their lifespan? And also a second question would be, is it possible for the pilots, however many there are, which I'd kind of like to know in terms of planes, to bring their own fuel, like you do for a boat? You kind of just bring your own fuel most of the time. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, through the chair. So to answer your first question, actually, sorry, can you repeat your first question?
Well, the other lifespan of this
Oh,
equipment.
lifespan, sorry.
Yeah.
I believe it was 2015 when the other one was installed, so I'm going to say 10 years.
Okay.
And then for the second question, I don't think I can answer that question. I don't know if it's legal to actually carry fuel on jerry cans on a plane.
Yeah, no, I think that's, we could take that. We could think, no. Yeah. That's okay for now. No. No, Greg, the question is. Yeah. Yes. No. Right. Okay, thanks. No, thanks, Greg. I think we can deal with this, offline. It doesn't directly relate to the matter before us. Counselor Shepherd?
Yeah, through the chair, I'm in support of this. I think this was planned for last year and we deferred it for a year. But just a question to staff. Do we take a look at other airports to see if this is a system that many others are using, or how do we go about researching what options there are? Thanks.
Thank you for the question. Through the chair. So yes, we did do research when we were seeking vendors, and this particular product, it's National Energy, and they're, I think, the major provider in Canada to small airports.
Okay, motion to, from page 66, any seconded? Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Council, so then I think that takes us to the new 5.5, and Councillor Shepherd, appointment of the acting mayor.
Yes, through the chair, I wanted to add an item since I will be away in August to nominate Councillor Inkster as deputy mayor for the month of August. Thank you.
Okay, so I think the term is acting mayor in our system. So is there a seconder? Everybody seconds. Do you accept the nomination, Councillor Inkster?
Well, it's a meetingless
Yeah.
month.
Yes or
month,
no?
right?
Yes.
So it should be easy. A council will
Okay.
know if it wasn't, based
Okay.
on the emails they see, but I'll accept it. And talk to Councillor Shepherd if it afterwards. Yeah.
Okay, that's a motion and seconded. Sure.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I wouldn't mind being the deputy mayor for a month. And who knows what I might do here, but I'm going to be around. And Darren probably would like to go somewhere for a change. And so, well, you're here a lot, like we all are, right? And you have kids. So I just thought I'd throw that out there because it seems like he feels it's like another thing he's doing and it's getting him down. Thank you.
Okay, so
No,
we-
I'm a pretty positive guy.
we have a motion.
Councillor Shepherd.
We have a motion in front of us, so I guess we can vote on that, and if it was for some reason defeated, then we could entertain another option. All in favor? Opposed? Nope. Councillor McLaughlin is opposed and the motion carries. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Inkster. So we will then go to, I guess, council remuneration, the bylaw on page 69. And Ms. Roberts, I guess.
Great, thank you. Before we move into the bylaw, we did not include a stipend from the report in the bylaw. And so I turn it to Deputy Corporate Officer if council allows for an amendment to the motion. I'm hoping Joanne or Ms. Caldecott can amend the motion for us before we begin the conversation. If council allows.
A new motion for the, not what we've been provided?
Yes.
Please.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Roberts. Just to clarify, on the amendment bylaw 608-2/2026 for council remuneration, there are two small errors. The first being that section 2.1 says that subsections A, B, and C be removed entirely. It's only sections A and B. So that would be the first change. And then we need to add something that was left out, which is in the report, it references a stipend of $160 per diem for any commitments that councillors are expected to attend. And unfortunately, we did not include that in this bylaw amendment. So if we do 2 readings this evening, it could come back to staff. We would do those 2 changes. We would add that one section, which is brand new because this remuneration bylaw until now hasn't had that included. And we do the other small text change. So when it comes time to do the motion, I could read that out for you, or I could read it now if you like. I've prepared a draft.
Sure. So I think council, is everybody following this? Yeah, okay. Yeah, but, and so if we're to do first and second, it'll be, we won't. So are you suggesting we'll do the first and second with the amendments or without the amendments
First and second,
as presented?
and request. So the motion would be that council give council remuneration amendment bylaw number 608-2026 first 2 readings and request that staff amend the bylaw prior to 3rd reading to make that text change and to add a new section per diem stipend, which includes the following, and then the text about the $160. Is that clear?
Great. Okay, that's
Thank
clear.
you.
Thank you, to me at least. Councillor McLaughlin.
Right, through the chair. I have a question about the meetings where you get the $160. Is that steering committees? What kind of committees would they be? Or would they be just meetings with community groups, et cetera?
Thank you for the question through the chair. The task force looked at meetings, anything over 6 hours, so including conferences. They were noting that some elected officials work other jobs and will have to take leave for a meeting that's longer than 6 hours. It's not dissimilar to other municipalities, so they just wanted to make sure that that was offered to council for the next term.
Okay, for now, the answer to that question. Others? Councillor Inkster?
Can I just put it on the table then, as it was presented, just so then we can discuss it, have a seconder, and then we can discuss it?
Well, we're on the recommendation, so
Yeah.
certainly if you want to tell us what your proposal is on page 69.
Was to follow the instructions that were given. So it would be that one, the report of the Director of Corporate Community Services regarding council remuneration bylaw be received. 1, number 2, that council proceed to give council remuneration amendment bylaw number 608.2/226 first and second reading.
Yes.
Yes, and with the changes. Yes.
And direct staff to amend it after.
And then if it's second, then I'll
So-
speak to it.
So this is the so the recommendation is slightly modified from page 69. Okay, second, thank you. Okay, you'll speak to it?
Yeah, just because there's been some discussion in the newspapers about another jurisdiction that made some changes and to see some of the public discourse around that. In this case, Sechelt remuneration compared to other municipalities and you can do a comparison, isn't necessarily that high. I'm not saying that this proposal should be higher in reference to that. It's just the public who may not know, should know that it's not necessarily that high. And the changes proposed are generally a reflection of the changes in the costs of living annually, much like everyone in their job gets or anyone through negotiated contracts gets. So that's just a reflection of this so that the public doesn't misunderstand what has been proposed here, that it's just an inflationary increase for council members on an amount that's not necessarily, compared to a number of other municipalities and even some nearby, it's not necessarily that high to start with. So I'm just getting ahead of what the public will see, you know, because you hear this nowadays in this Trumpian world. You hear things like, there they go again, giving themselves a raise. So just so it's clear how much this is, please look at the amount that it is. Ask yourself if you would do it for that amount with what we deal with sometimes, but also look at the increase, which is reflective of an inflationary change in our costs, which, by the way, over the last number of years have been huge. And I'm not certainly sure if the remuneration is reflective of that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Toth.
Thank you. Yeah, a number of jurisdictions, I think, including one of the ones that Director Inkster was hinting at there, actually ended up indexing their remunerations to something based on the average wages in the community and percentages of that. And so I guess, you know, my question for staff is, was that something that the task force looked at or considered? I'm generally supportive of just sort of maintaining the status quo at this time. I'm just wondering if those conversations happened.
Yeah, and perhaps I'll add on to that. I mean, is there a written report from this committee, this task force?
There can be. Sorry, thank you for the question. There could be. We did one 4 years ago. I can explain a little bit about how we got here if that is helpful at this time. So at the last remuneration task force, we had a robust review. We hadn't done something like that in the past or recently. And so the committee found that the work that was done 4 years ago, because it was so fulsome, they didn't need to reinvent the wheel. So they looked at all of the work that we had done and have not written a report to date. They certainly could do. But things like the 4% for the first year that you'll notice in the report, that is not CPI or the Consumer Price Index, isn't it for 2026. However, they're trying to play catch up for the inflation that occurred in the 4 years that this council was in term. So in the previous remuneration, I would say one of the considerations was that it wasn't married to the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. And so we're looking to remedy that by adding a bump on the first year. That's one of the reasons for the 4%. And then following the CPI moving forward to make sure that it's equitable. We might not appear entirely equitable with the rest of the Sunshine Coast, but compared to other municipalities, that was something that they did compare and look at. Thank you.
Thank you. So, okay, so there's been a group of people that we agreed to keep it confidential, but they've met with yourself, I guess, and Mr. Yates, or just, no, just Ms. Roberts?
Yeah, and a recording secretary.
But we don't have a report from them. Yeah, okay. The dollars are not big and but I would encourage in the next report, or in the next cycle, that there be a written report. Are you wanting to speak to the issue, or are you wanting to vote? You put your hand up.
I can vote.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're going to talk some more, I have.
Nope. No, that's okay. Great. So we have a recommendation. Yep. I'll give it, just to be clear. So we got 1, 2, and I guess a sort of a 2B to make amendments. Please, Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I'm not sure I support any increases in remuneration. The work we do is really, should be a part-time job. So basing it on people's salaries or low or average salaries or living salaries, the RD directors get quite a substantial extra money for being on the RD, so that adds, but that's not two full-time jobs. Maybe for alternatives, but, I mean, my salary, if I was to put myself out there, I would ask for a lot of money. But I consider this a volunteer position for the most part and a contribution to the community and the voters.
So you're not particularly in
No,
favor of any
No,
increase?
I'm not really. And
No, that's
I
fine.
think with our financial situation, the uncertainty of everything to this day, to just assume that we need a cost of living increase, for most people with other jobs, it just adds to your income and then you have to pay more tax, honestly. So we get benefits as well. We get conferences to go on as well. There's other perks. And I don't think changing this is going to actually help other people say, oh, that's good money. I think I'm going to run for office. It's not about the money. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Toth.
Thank you. Yeah, I think fundamentally, in my core, I don't disagree with Councillor McLaughlin. It's not about the money. It's about contributing to your community and giving back if you can afford to do so. There's a lot of voices. If you look back at the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 10 councils that have sat at this table, there's a lot of voices that are missing from this table because they're too busy working 2 or 3 jobs trying to get by. And I recognize that this is only just a very minor, I don't even know what the total dollar amount of the increase is here. It's not a ton of money. And it's still not going to be a ton of money for sure. So if you're going to get involved in the District of Sechelt, you've definitely got to have some passion for it. Nobody at this table gets rich doing this work. But I think we need to be working towards making it accessible for the people that don't have the opportunity to sit at this table currently. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Speaking for it? Because
Are you taking fours now?
No, no.
Okay. So, yeah, sure. Staff didn't, I mean, we could ask staff probably quite easily to find out what the budgetary increase would be every year for this small amount that council has in order to deal with the catch-up over the last number of years with the huge inflationary change. We could do that. I think it's in the small thousands for all of council. But I was one that many years ago thought that for many, many years, just my conservatively financial background thought that we should not be paid a lot to do public service. But what I kept hearing and what I thought was a strong argument from members of the community and others who are analyzing council stipends, and once again, there's other jurisdictions that are much higher. They said that if you don't have a high enough amount, you don't attract a number of people that should be represented at this table. I was lucky enough to move jobs around to be a person with young kids that was still able to come to this table, but also meetings became sometimes in the evening, which was helpful. But I remember bringing my kids to sit in the back here for 4 years because it was a little bit expensive to find childcare while my young kids were here. But that was because somebody invented the iPad. So they were able to hang out, but I was able to do that. But I've talked to so many people who honestly can't afford to take time off for council. So that's why there needs to be some form of
so you're in support of an
yes.
increase?
Yeah, well, it's just in speaking to the argument that what I've been hearing is there's a need to have more inclusion in our community and more representation, and that's how you do it with having a somewhat of a competitive amount. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, there's nothing else? Yes, Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you. I'd like a little rebuttal to that. In our case, we have spent a lot of time on this council doing governance review, a lot. So I understand the fatigue. It's true. But hopefully that's not something that's going to have to carry on. Also, most people here on council, I believe, have owned their homes and probably many have paid them off. So that's not a typical situation for the average worker here. That's why they need 3 jobs. They have to pay for their housing. So that is a consideration. And I would like to see more of those people here. And I think there's ways we can do that. We can do it by having our meetings at a convenient time for them, which may be the evening.
So Councillor McLaughlin, we're talking about the remunerations.
Yeah,
so
well,
let's,
this is what remuneration is, to pay to entice people. This is all about, I know what we're
Yep.
talking about. And also, I think using technology, having more people attend remotely, we did that during COVID, adds a lot more convenience. And,
That's not about the remuneration, so let's keep it please to.
well,
the
why are we
remuneration.
providing remuneration? Because people that you're saying need the money. And who needs the money? And how are we going to do it? It's not just about money, it's about how we organize our time and the things we decide to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rowe.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'd caution Councillor McLaughlin to make assumptions about anybody's lives and their financial situation and the state of their house. I find it offensive. This is 4%. We are the cheapest, most efficient council on the Sunshine Coast. So yay for us. 4% of $25,000 a year is
1,000.
yeah, I can do the math. Thanks, Mayor Henderson, for that support. So I'm voting in favor of this, and you know, I absolutely agree with Councillor Inkster. And you know, we're out there. People are talking to us about running, and over the last 2 terms, more people of a younger demographic are at least talking about it and considering it. They may not throw their hat in the ring, but they're considering it and they're planning for it 4 years from now when their kids are a bit older. Those conversations, you know, happen in part because they're able to, you know, look ahead and see the financial impact. So I will be speaking or voting in support of this. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. I don't see anything else, so we'll call the question. This is the recommendation on page 69 with the modifications that Ms. Caldecott read for us. So all in favor of the recommendations? Opposed? Councillor McLaughlin is opposed. The recommendations carry. And so then we have the bylaws, and this is first would be bylaw 608/2026, starting on page 72 for 2 readings. Councillor Bell, and seconded. Okay, and yes, that's good because we've already given you direction in the recommendation for, yep. So just as presented, 2 readings. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor McLaughlin? Yes. Opposed? Thank you. And the bylaw carries. All right, and I think I'm done with that, am I? Yes. Okay. Council, we then go to item 6.2 on page 78. And I can see, I was going to say I can see Mr. Baker on the screen, but no. It's Mr. Baker's report, but he's not.
No, he couldn't make it tonight, so.
Sorry?
He couldn't make it tonight, so
Oh.
I will be here.
Okay. Great. So, and this is before us, council, for 3rd reading and adoption. I noticed our order paper only referenced 3rd reading, but sure the report is the substantive thing. So carry it away, Mr. Hall.
Okay, so since the last time council saw this, they had asked for 2 items before it came back for 3rd reading. So those 2 items were the stormwater management plan and some kind of parking plan to address the concerns around the reduction in visitor parking. So both of those items are attached to the report. We have a road concept plan that shows that up to 21 parking spaces could easily be created on the Reef Road extension. So I think we can safely say that the proposed reduction in 13 visitor parking spaces required by the bylaw is easily offset by the what could be created on the street. So there would be no net loss in parking for visitors. And then the other item, the stormwater management plan,
just highlights that there's no major issues or concerns. Obviously, the next phases of development, if they proceed through to subdivision or development permit, they'd have to prove out that and comply with the bylaws. So the stormwater report attached just confirms that there's no major issues that need to be addressed, and all of that would come out of further development applications. And then otherwise, I just kind of summarize all the different covenants that are required to move forward. And all that is being worked on with the lawyers. So the zoning amendment bylaw is ready for third reading, and with the regulations, we can also adopt it tonight as well. So given that there's no other outstanding issues or rezoning conditions that aren't secured, that it can be adopted tonight as well.
Okay, thank you. And the distinction, the letter of undertaking is still part of the staff's supportive of that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Council, your questions for clarification? Councillor Inkster?
Yeah, I just wanted to recognize staff and the people interested in this project for attempting, I think, in reference to some council comments that included mine, to engage the community members in that area on this issue in order to make sure that we were listening and that we were meeting some of their needs about parking and water issues. Although just through you, clarification needs to be made to indicate that there's other steps that will go before the final look of this development, and hopefully the community that is in the area that hasn't seen necessarily a lot of change down on the lower half of that road will be more comfortable with the plan as parts of that area near the arena does develop as it was originally planned in the community plan. So I've asked a number of questions, and I'm somewhat satisfied with what staff has said and what the discussions they've had with the proponent. Once again, though, I want to see some building when we approve this. We need some houses. But I'm somewhat supportive. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Maybe you could just, I think a good point.
Yeah.
This is the zoning amendment. What comes next from a process point of view?
Part of that will be on the applicant's table. I mean, obviously there needs to be a subdivision of some kind, as well as there still needs to be the development permit. So it'll be on the applicant to decide if they want to try to subdivide the property first, go into one or more parcels to create individual stratas potentially, however they might want to divide it up. The subdivision itself, assuming it complies with all the bylaws, it wouldn't come back to council for any item, but the development permit would have to come back to council for approval. So that piece will definitely come at a future date. And that's before they could build anything, the development permit would have to be approved. So.
Right. And thank you. That's what I wanted to make sure was on the table. Councillor Shepherd.
So through the chair, could I ask a question about the letter of undertaking and the survey work? I'm just curious why the survey work couldn't have been completed by now. Why hasn't it been done already? Thanks. So that we don't have to use the instrument or the use of a letter of undertaking. Thanks.
I guess with all the different covenants and the road closure piece, there's a lot of different survey plans that have to be created. So I guess in terms of the zoning itself, I mean, we could make the applicant wait, or we could just get the zoning done, and with council's consideration that the letter of undertaking provides some security that this can't move forward, and that council has made it clear that they're not going to consider any further approvals until all these pieces are in place. The road closure process itself is a separate application, separate from the subdivision, that also needs to be made too, so that there's a lot of work on the road closure piece itself. So that's another future application that would need to come to council as well. There's a bylaw, there's public notification, so there's a few moving pieces there in addition to.
Okay, great. Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. Can you please tell me what changes have been made and discussions with the local farming community, agricultural community, and issues regarding stormwater management, drainage, which were brought forward to council. I'm not really sure that that's been resolved in any way. Thank you.
Okay, two parts of the ALR properties around. And the others, the stormwater.
Sure. I mean, obviously, one of the conditions is the covenant to require an ALR or a buffer along the ALR boundaries. So even prior to the identification of the environmentally sensitive area, there would have been a requirement for ALR buffers along the north and east sides. The north side is basically entirely taken up by the environmentally sensitive area, so that kind of acts as a buffer anyway. Along the east side, the covenant would require the not just putting in the buffer, but like constructing the buffer before any other work is done. So that involves putting in specifications on what that would look like: trees, vegetation, fencing, and then putting the maintenance and the responsibility on that back onto the property owner to maintain that in perpetuity as a best practice around, development up against the ALR. In terms of drainage and stormwater stuff, again, all of that has to be dealt with through subdivision and development permit. There's no scenario where the development of the property could increase runoff and negatively affect neighboring properties, whether or not they're in the ALR. So that's something they'll have to meet our bylaws as they move forward. So right now, the plans and reports that we have don't indicate that there's some kind of major issue that needs to be resolved. It's just they'll have to deal with it as they develop their plans.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Councillor Shepherd, and then come back.
Yeah, through the chair. I think I opposed this application the last time of the reading because of the sort of vagueness of the information that came through on parking and stormwater. And I will admit that the proponent has come forward with more detailed plans on parking and stormwater. I have to say to council, I'm going to vote against it. I've supported these large multiple unit projects all through this term in order to sort of because our goal is to create more housing and through that more affordable housing. I just see none of these being built. And I'm really losing the belief that by approving these that they are going to get built. So I'm going to vote against it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. If I can just respond to that, I'm curious because some other owner developer doesn't build. I would actually think we'd be better advised to be approving, recognizing it because of whatever economics or the interest rates or whatever, some are not going to happen, but better to approve properties and maybe we get 2 out of 3 rather than, not approving one that would get built.
Yeah, so just to reply to that, I understand that argument, and that's why I have been supporting these projects throughout the last 4 years. But what's the evidence that they're being built? They're not being built. And it could be for financial reasons, it could be market conditions. But every time we approve some of these projects, we're angering residents because they're large scale projects. And I've just over time seeing that why are we continuing to irritate people when these things are not getting built? And perhaps council should be looking for more ways or means of sitting down with developers to say, how can we be assured that they're going to be built? Anyway, that's my reply. I understand completely if we approve 2/3 of them, perhaps 1/3 of them will get built, but we're not seeing them being built. Thanks.
Right. Councillor McLaughlin and then Councillor Inkster.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, I agree with Councillor Shepherd that, we've approved quite a number of proposals in this area. And so there's plenty to choose from if somebody wants to develop. I think although I will say a lot of good work has been put into this project, I don't think this is the time to do it. Hold it off for when some of these other ones go ahead and it shows some kind of interest in the neighborhood. And I think we can do better on stormwater management and transportation studies and planning to protect the quality of this community by doing a neighborhood plan. I still don't see any neighborhood plan, and just taking stormwater management, saying each developer will address their property. I want something bigger and more sustainable than that. That's just an ad hoc, old-fashioned way of looking at land development. I think here we need to integrate our uses, our farming uses, as long as we can. We need them to for sustainability, and we need to protect the quality and character of this place. And I don't see these projects on a piecemeal basis like this, using conservation design properly at all, or actually reflecting this community in any way. It's just a drawing that could be in Coquitlam. So I want to hold off on that. And someday it may be like Coquitlam out there in 20 years, but I don't think it's helping our case now. I think we need to limit the number of approvals we do and encourage those who have been rezoned to actually get rolling with it. Because that is still kind of a rural area. We're putting in more infrastructure in there. We should be using and rebuilding the infrastructure we already have, and there's lots of places we know to do that, which is even in the village. I hate to see the noise that goes on, but we have a commitment to do that in the village area, which people want. And it's using existing homes as well. New construction is never affordable anymore. Thank you.
Councillor Inkster?
Yeah, we've seen over the number of years, a number of proposals come forward to us. And some developments have just had a delay in construction. There hasn't been a non-construction on that land. And as a decision maker, you want to approve needs for your community, but you also want to approve a development that you're comfortable with the look now. I've only seen 2 properties in Seashell that just don't move, and I think it's because the feasibility, the one on the waterfront here and the Havies development. I think that's all about feasibility of those particular proposals. But the other pieces of land in Seashell are eventually going to be developed. And those who live in those neighborhoods who may not be comfortable now with the change in their neighborhood, what I fear in future is a proposal coming forward where there's an infill of the land around it, and that particular proposal then becomes a densified proposal, i.e. larger buildings and or a larger building, because that's where Seashell's at. So sometimes you have to say, is this what we can live with now rather than in the future, larger buildings? Because that's maybe what happens in the next 30 years in Seashell based on the infill and the densification of our neighborhoods. That's what's happening, because I've seen it in West Seashell where there's, in some areas, there's a push for more densification based on its proximity to parks and bus routes. So I think this is an acceptable one for now. I agree with other council members. I would like to see these built, but I don't know how we can make them build them. I've not seen this term or the last term an example of a property being rezoned, and I can be corrected, and then sold to someone else. That's always the fear. The other thing we can do is we can have proposals, and I don't know if it's legal necessarily, but we can have an approval, have a 5-year or 10-year limit on it, so there's an encouragement to build on that. But I think that puts the people that are looking for money to borrowing money to build in a really tough position. So that's only it's one of the only ways to get around it. But I think that when we make decisions now as decision makers, we have to look at the proposal in front of us and see that it's suitable, better than what could happen in future, because I fear some of these neighborhoods becoming too dense based on the infill. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Can I see if how council would like to proceed? We've got page 78, the recommendations from our team, and people are on page 78. So, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd go quite as far as you just did, Councillor Inkster, about we don't know what the future might be, but we all struggle. We don't like the angst that can be created by these things, but I feel, you know, the biggest thing we need in this town is people, and for that we need housing. So, you know, I hope people understand that I read something about one parking spot or 12. And in fact, 21 is the number, I think, of on-street parking. The stormwater I've heard tonight, which was helpful, that it still has to be worked out to make sure it is not a problem for anybody. And ultimately, I think we have to allow these to be approved, because we can disagree, Councillor Shepherd, but in this case, I'd rather have whatever, 3 or 4 or 5 approved and hope we get one, and not reject the one that maybe will get built. So, so I'm prepared to move the recommendations on page 78 as written. And second, Councillor Bell, thank you. So any comments?
Just a comment, I'll be voting in support, and I hear what you're saying. This has been a frustration for, if I feel like forever that we do all this work, that staff does all this work, and then nothing happens. And it does make you want to pull your hair out. However, it's one thing I know for sure is it won't get built if we don't do the work that is here. So we're only in control of what we're in control of. So I'll be voting in support of this.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councillor Bell.
I know that through the chair, I have supported this, Councillor Clough. I've supported this. I also think that we have to continue to be aware of the political landscape, federally and provincially. And I think that we know that building housing is going to continue to be top of mind through these governments. And we need to also, we have to be real. We have to be able to look at funding. And if we're seen as not wanting to build, I don't think that's a good thing. So that's where I'm coming from on this.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Councillor Tough.
It's okay, thank you. Yeah, I struggle a little bit with this one. I continue to struggle a little bit with this one. I appreciate the sensitive ecosystem protection that's here, even if we're going to be responsible for the maintenance of it in the future. In terms of the approving projects that don't get built, I sure wish we could just rescind approvals if we see a project flip up onto the market. I've been pretty blunt with people about that, including folks in the development community. I trust unless you give me reason not to trust you. And I want to believe that a project like this is going to go forward. Is it going to be affordable with our McDonald's workers living in it? I don't think so. They're ocean view. They're beautiful brand new townhomes. They're going to be expensive. That's the way it's going to be. But is it an opportunity for our doctors or our nurses or, legal professionals that we have in this community? Is it an opportunity for somebody who might be downsizing from 3/4 of an acre that they can't maintain anymore? And maybe that property gets redeveloped into more affordable units because it's, not in as desirable a neighborhood. I think, Councillor Bell, you're absolutely right. The federal and provincial governments have said, approve housing. And I think it's on us to approve housing. And where developers don't proceed forward in good faith, I think we need to start calling them out. Which I guess is a roundabout way of saying I'll support this tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor McLaughlin, one last comment?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I did bring up with the councillors early on in the term, the idea of setting a limit to rezonings, and if they don't start construction within a reasonable period of time, that the rezoning should be rescinded. And that was not supported. But certainly it would have helped if we would have done that. And there's lots of homes for sale right now for people if they want to move here. The summertime, we have a huge flip of housing that goes on. So for people who can afford a home, doctors, et cetera, I think there are homes for them, plenty, as people get older and pass on in one way or the other in Sechelt. So the fact that we need to grow for homes and somehow everybody's going to be without any opportunity is it's just totally untrue. And in terms of population, when we invite more population here, yeah, guess what else we need? We need more doctors. We need more healthcare. We need more ferry space. So really be careful what you ask for, because if the idea is to create these new homes, townhouses, et cetera, for people who just want to buy something that's quite expensive and live here and add to our population and add to some of our issues. Unfortunately, we don't have them resolved in any way. It's just getting worse and worse every year. So I think that's kind of a dead argument to say we just need to build, we need more people. We need to use the infrastructure we have more carefully. We've upzoned the village area for lots of stuff, and builders are going to take the easy route and build easy new development. They're not going to bother to help us do the tricky stuff where we really need it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, something new?
Just, you know, yeah, I mean, people coming, if you look around the council table, I think there's three of 7 that come in the last 20 years to this community. So people are coming. Thanks.
Yep, thank you. Okay, council, we've got a motion on the floor as presented on page 78. And nothing else, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? I'm sorry, yeah, and did you vote? You did, okay, thank you. So Councillor Shepherd and McLaughlin are opposed. The motion carries. So then, council, we go to page, I believe it's 90 for the bylaw. I make sure I'm on the right track. Yes. So this is, again, before us for third reading and adoption. I could have a motion to that effect. Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Councillor Shepherd and McLaughlin are opposed. The motion carries. Okay, thank you, everybody. And I think I'd just add this is a process, so it'll take quite a lot of time before we move to anything substantive, tangible, perhaps is a better word. Please.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say, like, what we've approved tonight is the zoning bylaw. The layout can still adjust, the buffers could still, like, there is still a development permit that needs to be approved as part of this and work that needs to be done as part of this. So it's not over by any means.
Okay, thank you. I was going to say thank you, Mr. Hall, but I guess you're going to stay there for page 93, which is the OCP amendment bylaw for Swarney Lumber. And this is before us for adoption. We've seen this many times, and is there anything to add at this point? Very good. In which case, council, I guess, procedurally, we can do an adoption recommendation and then read the bylaw. Councillor Shepherd?
Move the recommendation on page 93.
Thank you. Seconded. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair. Again, just a quick reminder, I have been opposed to this development for sustainable design reasons, for the covenant, breaking of the covenant, and basically lack of community planning, all in all, for this development. So
Okay.
just in summary.
Thank you. Don't see anything else, anybody else, so I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor McLaughlin is opposed, and the recommendation carries. That then takes us to the bylaw on page 95, bylaw number 492-32, 2023, as presented, and it's before us for adoption. Moved, seconder, and the last. Okay, all in favor? Councillor McLaughlin is opposed. Thank you. All right, council, then we go to the the Seashelt Sewage Facilities Commission bylaw. And this is page 98, and I don't see Ms. Paulson here, so who is anybody talking to this? We need to. Yep. Okay, we'll see what there are questions. Yep. Please, Councillor Shepherd.
I'll move the recommendation on page 98.
And seconded. Okay, thank you. So I have some questions though. I mean, among other things, so perhaps it's procedural, but the bylaw that we are building on is actually called the Seashelt Sewage Facilities Commission. And somewhere in this process, it's been changed. So that's one thing I think we should be correcting. I want to repeat, I know we talked about it, but in 2014, this council, the commission at the time, unanimously, the two members from the Seashell and from this council moved to dissolve it. And I think that was done very intentionally. So I'm not sure why it wasn't pursued, of course, but I think we need to keep that in mind. The other one, perhaps most significantly, the way I read this, and I've read it again over the weekend and looked back in history, but this conveys on the commission the ability or perhaps the obligation to determine staffing. Staffing, I believe, at the Water Resource Center. And I find that hard to understand how we would delegate the authority for operating an asset to the commission. I can understand setting pricing for septic revenues or fees, but to actually delegate the authority for human resources seems inappropriate in given the new facility that we have. So, yes, Councillor Todd.
Thank you. Yeah, looking at page 100 and 101, makes reference to the changes being proposed to the bylaw. So I'm not seeing where in there it references human resources. It was always within the commission's purview to recommend budget for the facility or facilities or whatever. We actually talked about this a little bit today, and it's something that's never been acted on. And the Sewer Facilities Commission had a workshop today. And that was one of the items that we talked about, is that it's never actually been acted on in the past. But a suggestion was made that perhaps maybe there is an opportunity for the Sewer Commission to start looking at some of the budgets before they go to council, mostly for education at this point. Thanks.
Yeah, that I quite support that. The issue, it appears to me that this, we've dealt with this bylaw as here are some changes that we're doing, but we haven't gone back to what I believe is the foundation document, which is back in '94. And that's where I picked up that the commission may determine the manpower requirements for the operation and maintenance of the district sewage treatment and disposal facilities. So that still survives as far as I'm aware. Sorry. Yeah, please. No, yes, no, yeah, everybody's.
So it's my understanding that we can make these minor changes to the bylaw through approval of council to change the actual letters of patent and the powers of the commission. That would have to be done through the province. So changing the powers of the commission is a much larger change. So we're actually changing these relatively minor updates. Some of the names, of course, have changed. The remuneration for the chair, those types of things are within the power of the council to change. If we want to get into the actual structural powers of the commission, that's a much bigger undertaking.
Yes, I agree with that. And yet we are adding in this, in the proposal, we're adding a new section. I'm reading it correctly, a new section of defining what assets are going to be handled by the commission. I guess I'm just, I think that we risk compounding what may be an inadvertent, whatever. I don't think the total, I would like to see the total bylaw as proposed rather than just seeing the let's change this and change that. Because I think the commission would benefit from going through that and saying, it's a burden on them, on you, the representatives. How do you decide what the manpower requirements are for the operation of the facilities? Please.
Yeah, to the chair. To the chair. There've only been a few meetings of the sewer commission so far, and certainly there's been a little bit of discussion about trying to upturn the, update the terms of reference to sort of reduce or make it a more focused more focused direction. But this, I'm in support of making these minor changes and then sort of tackling other terms of reference changes later on. But really, it seems to be a minor issue to me. Thanks.
Yes, I think the various changes in themselves are minor. But what hasn't been addressed is the outstanding resolution to dissolve it. So, anyways, and that it is the Sechelt Sewage Facilities Commission. In fact, the bylaw I just noticed now, page 100, has the names backwards still. Sechelt Facilities Sewer Commission. It's actually Sechelt Sewage Facilities Commission. So there's a typo in our bylaw document. So, but I'm in your hands, council. Look at the top of page 100, though, you'll see different words in the two lines. Yes, Councillor Rowe.
Is the bylaw actually not changing the name though? Because
No, I'm sorry.
right? So in the whereas clause, it's referred to as the Sechelt Sewage Facilities Commission. And then this bylaw may be cited for all purposes as the Sechelt Facilities Sewer Commission. So are we not just, is it a typo or is it a suggested change?
If it's a suggested change, it's not in our, what's in front of us. Please.
Just a comment that I think our procedure bylaw gives corporate staff the approval to fix minor typos. Like I'm not looking to wordsmith this right now.
Nope. I just think let's get it right. So it's, everything should read Sechelt Sewage Facilities Commission bylaw amendment or bylaw to update the Sechelt Sewage Facilities Commission. And I'm absolutely fine with staff making that change to maintain it because it is, best I can tell, it is what was adopted in '94 and updated in 2021. So we should stay consistent with that. Okay. Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you. I'm just seeking some clarification. You're saying that the commission is more or less defunct on one side, and then Councillor Shepherd is saying that he's had a few meetings. So I'm a little confused about the legality of all this. Not having really got much input over the years on any of this going on. But I mean, I looked at the bylaw 225, 1994 on Sechelt Sewage Facilities Commission. And it looks pretty robust. It looks like it's something we should have been doing, could have been doing. It would have had budgets reviewed and planning and timelines for when that should all be done, and ways to cost share where appropriate with, I guess, the First Nation, Sechelt Nation, which, you know, is an important component of everything we do, especially lately with development, et cetera. So I don't see why we don't just update this as recommended and kind of run with it and see where it goes. I think there's a lot of good information here. It does include septage as well. So that is a topic of interest lately. And I think it answers some of the questions that some people on council might have about how we should proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Toth, bring us
Thank you.
home.
Yeah, the last update in 2021 was primarily in response to a desire from the nation to revitalize that committee or that commission. And it had been sitting defunct since, I guess, 2015. And staff, you know, went back and looked at it, and, you know, records being what they are, it wasn't dissolved, which would have required a ministerial order to change our letters patent. And one of the things that was mentioned as contemplation is that the replacement agreement for the WRC may not have been sufficient to cover off the rest of the duties of the sewer commission. So here we are. The nation's interested in engaging with us and being part of this and coming to the table. I mean, if you want to consider it, in 1994, this is actually one of the first examples of shared decision-making. And I think that's actually something we should be proud of. So yeah, support it going forward. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. My comments are about the extent of the involvement, and I take the comment that we can perhaps reassess that because there's there's the Stellarton plant, for example, that perhaps could be part of this collective decision-making or recommendations. Council, let's, I'm not going to support the final adoption. I think it's, there's a few things that we would be better served, but I'll first go with the will of council. All in favor, did I get a motion for the bylaw?
I'll move.
Thank you.
Adoption.
Second, all in favor? Opposed? I'm opposed. Thank you. Okay, council, so then we go to 102, which is, I know what everybody's waited for. Somebody want to, highways parking amendment bylaw and the notice enforcement. Motion to, your motion, Councillor Bell, is as presented on page 102. Thank you. A second, any discussion? This is before us for adoption for the two bylaws. Yes, Councillor McLaughlin.
Through the chair. I was thrilled to see this today because I noticed there's a lot of parking infractions going on around the rec center. People are dying for more parking. They're parking on the street. They're parking at a local food store. And they're parking in places they're not supposed to because they think, oh, I think there's room for my car there. So I think we need to look at parking and studying how to make that whole section work better, which I think we have a project moving forward to do that. But maybe in the meantime, yeah, it might help people stay in the lines. Little things.
Okay, thank you. So you're moving page, oh no, Councillor Bell did. Okay, any further comments on page 102 report? All in favor of the recommendations? Carried. And then to the bylaws, first of all, on page 104, bylaw 516-5, 2026 for adoption. Moved. Thank you, Councillor Shepherd. Second, Councillor Rowe. All in favor? Carried. And the bylaw notice enforcement implementation bylaw, amendment bylaw. Okay. 3 bylaws in a sentence. That's a record. 515-17. Moved. Second. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Council, that takes us then, I believe, to the minutes, page 108, the minutes of July 15th. And any errors or omissions? If not, I will entertain a motion to adopt. And seconded, I saw, all in favor? Adopted. And see, and then the minutes of July 22nd. These are the Committee of the Whole meeting chaired by Councillor Inkster. Any errors or omissions? Motion to adopt. Seconded. All in favor? Carried. And finally, the minutes of the July 22nd. Lost my place. Help me. Thank you. Thank you. There. Yeah. Okay, anything? Not a motion, please. Seconded, all in favor? Adopted. One matter arising, the recommendation two that we dealt with in the Committee of the Whole, that we asked the owner to put up a fence. It appears that fence is there. I drove by again today, and there's a fence blocking from Lot 1 all the way over to the townhouses. So that's been there for a while, but I made an extra effort to see if it was actually, actually contact, and it seems secure. So it's been there for a while, but I thought it was sort of a piece, but it's actually right up against the building. Okay, Council, page 123, the report from the SCRD reps. Anything to add, Councillor Toth?
Quite a number of paragraphs to add that I didn't actually think to put in the report. There was a number of comments made at last week's Committee of the Whole with regards to concerns about the cost of the SCRD and its service of the SCRD and its services. And this is in respect to the ECBC report that we received last week. And so one of the things that I did want to highlight is that in my report on page 124 of the agenda package, SOMES, Chapman Creek monitoring, is $406,000 over 3 years. Church Road Wellfield monitoring, it's $520,000 over 3 years. Those are cost escalations that are strictly due to changing regulations from the province. Those costs did not exist in 2013 and would not have existed in 2013. And that's $308,000 per year, just in those two examples there combined. We have issues like that with the District of Sechelt, I'm sure as well. We have a ditch that we can't fix right now because there's fish in it. So, that wouldn't have mattered 10 years ago. We would have just bulldozed the ditch, but we can't do that today. So, I do have a number of other comments that I can make, but at the end of the day, the report's here, scrd.ca/budget. Anybody that's got budget questions about the regional district can look it up. And happy to have a conversation about it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Inkster. Anything to add?
Not much, just everyone saw the bridge work, Cliff Coker Park, which is a good news story. And it'd be good to see at least 2 of those second one in soon, so we can all enjoy that park, like I've done with my family, but also with clients. So it was a great idea, and it's good to see that. And the beautiful bridges too, by the way. Wood bridges, you gotta love it.
Compliments of the community forest.
Community forest, yeah, it's well known, and that's a good reminder. The other thing just to mention is the leak detection that's mentioned on one of the pages that council would have read. And I tried to send the water, documents to Councillor Shepherd, and there's coding, so he's got a blank document, so I'm sure he appreciated that. But anyway, just to see the leak detection and the number of new new services you could probably connect with that extra water, theoretically, the new dwellings you could collect. Because we're always talking about at this table, if we approve this, do we have water? The leak detection has created that extra surplus of water. And of course, we know that this summer's been a okay summer, even though it was predicted to be different based on the amount of rain. So everything's in good shape in terms of available water. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Oh,
Just
yes.
super quick, just because I know that folks are going to be interested in hearing it. I did check with staff a couple days ago, and as of a couple days ago, with the rain that we'd been receiving up in the watershed, water was overflowing the dam again. It's not going to stay that way, and it's already receding, but the lakes are full. The lakes are full right now. And part of that is the rain we have received. Most of that is the rain we have received. And a lot of it is community efforts, leak detection, like the chart that I've attached. You know, our water demands are down 10% despite adding 1,400 new people to the system. So we're using less water for more people, and I think that's a huge win.
Yep. Very good. I agree. Okay, council, then we move on to my notice of motion about the septage handling and the facilities. You've got it in front of you. I mean, a simple summary, I guess, is I'm concerned after the report we got that we don't have enough time to actually get this done right. And I'd like to see us get some more data and details on how we're going to actually make this happen. But to have a backdrop or backup in the meantime of getting, or pursuing the province again, perhaps, but you know, I think it's important to both pursue the province and also to make sure we assess some other options that I've reflected in the notice of motion. I mean, this is a service for all intents and purposes that is a regional service that we sort of inherited many years ago. And for us to take it on, we have to be absolutely sure that it's not going to be a burden to the taxpayers. So, yeah, I think it has the potential to have really very real consequences if things go wrong. And it's a big project, and I hope that we've got some plans, but I'd like to see them presented to us very quickly. Or in fact, by pushing the province to extend, the lease. So you have my motion. I'm happy to talk about it or entertain questions. Please.
Thank you. I'll start with the last clause. I guess I'm curious as to what you're envisioning for a tour of the existing Dusty Road facility for the public. As if, 1,000 people want to come through and, tour that site. I'm not in favor of that because I don't think that's safe.
Well, I mean, there's logistics of how you handle a group, but I think these are the sort of systems that people don't ever really see. They just assume they exist, they assume they work. And, certainly on behalf of the staff over the many years that have worked at Upper Dusty, for people to see what's involved is, I'd be amazed if 100 were interested, but it wouldn't be a bad thing if 1,000 were. Probably though, the more important thing from my point of view is for all of us to get a sense of what a new facility would look like on Lauderdale or indeed in any other location. Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, I through the chair, I mean, there's some elements of this that, I'm sympathetic to. I thought it was a good idea to perhaps look at, because it is really a regional facility, that the consultant that's been employed take a look at sites like the landfill area that are regionally owned. I don't know if the landfill is on the sewer system though. If it's not, it shouldn't be.
Well, you'd have to run a pipe from the Upper Dusty further up.
Yeah, so if it's not connected, I guess that's why it was not on the list. But perhaps there are other SCRD owned sites that maybe should have been considered. But I'm, I'm also sympathetic to that the land lease, it has a relatively not short term, I think we've got 4 years left. So I understand the impetus to perhaps at least approaching the province to see if it could be extended several years. But I'm, taking a look at the first point, confirming the district's legal obligation, if any, to continue operation of the septic service. It seems irrelevant to me because if staff came back and said, look, we don't have a legal obligation to operate it, we still need to anyway. I mean, we have so many people who are on septic. I don't know what looking at the legal ramification or sort of agreement helps or hinders us. It's got to be continued, or it'd just be a huge interruption.
It has to be continued by someone is where I'm going with that.
Well, I don't,
It
yeah.
could be the SCRD.
But
for
is there realistically going to be any change? So we look at this, whether there's a legal obligation or not, the district's going to finish running the existing facility till its end of life. So I don't know that we need to pursue item 1. Item 2, a financial model that fully insulates the district of Sechelt taxpayers from any capital or operating costs and liabilities associated with septic handling. I'm sort of curious, what's the fear there?
Well, what I saw in the Sperling Hansen report is a project that's going to cost 4.6 million in today's dollars. And I haven't seen any calculations, any analysis of how are we going to pay for it.
Yeah, and that's a good point, but that's where the consultant is sort of leading, saying, hey, there's an issue here. You've got to determine how this service is going to be continued. Absolutely, that's true, but I don't know if we need a notice of motion to do that. That's what's going to be done.
Well, I don't know that I'm not clear that it is, because that's what this is a bundle.
Yeah, so I'll go on item 3, comprehensive assessment of site alternatives. Yeah, again, I'm sympathetic to the regional service. Let's look at other sites. But that's something that we could, again, we don't need a notice of motion. We could ask our director of engineering to issue direction to the consultant to sort of widen the spread. And item 4, detailed timeline of the steps to undertake this project. We're sort of loading this onto staff to do something immediately, and I don't think that we need to. So there's some items that appear to me to be more important than others. Absolutely, I think we should be exploring options with, sorry, is it the province or the federal government? Province to, if we can extend the lease. That's the one item of this I would certainly support. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bell?
Yes, through the chair. I think I'm supportive of some of your comments, Councillor Shepherd. I think if the 2 priorities for me are definitely, we need to find out from the province, if they will be renewing it. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, but we need to know that.
Well, no, but they have indicated, or we've been told that, advised that they are resistant.
Okay, so that's then definitely a strong advocate piece. More than that, it's actually an operational piece. So I totally agree. That's the priority. And I think that can go hand in hand with, looking at comprehensive site alternatives. If we have to be prepared if something happens at the provinces, we're not going to give you this. So I think those 2 go together. But the rest, I think, can fall out of this plan. But I would like to see those. I would support those as 2 priorities.
Thank you. I mean, I would just say, to me, this is all part of a package, because we need to know to approach the province. We need to know some of these other things to clarify for them how urgent this is. You know, we spent 3.5 years on the preliminary report from Sperling Hansen, and any new facility has to be up and fully functioning, tested and everything else long before the lease runs out, because we need time to decommission. So when we heard from the consultant a couple of weeks ago, it was, I think he said 18 to 24 months for construction, stand to be corrected, plus design and so on and so forth. We got no time. So that's why I'm injecting this urgency into it. Councillor Toth.
Thank you. I appreciate the extra context. I don't think this is something that's going to be resolved before October. I do, however, think, and I've mentioned this before, I think that this is going to have to be a very high priority for the next council that sits at this table. The lease that we have, yeah, okay, the province has indicated they may not be interested in renewing it. There are other pressures on that site. I mean, it's surrounded by a gravel pit, let's be real. And I think to go to the province to ask for this extension without going to the nation would be challenging, because probably the first question the province is going to ask is, have you talked to the nation about this? Because they have interests in this land, and the province is under no obligation to renew that lease for us. The good neighborly portion of it may be that if we can work with the nation on this, maybe we need an extra year or two, or maybe there's an ability for the nation with their partner to alleviate some of the remediation costs that we need to deal with. The property is currently sitting, I think, in ALR land right now. Like, it's not going to be a farm. Nobody's going to turn that into a farm after we're done with it. And so I think understanding what the next life of this parcel is going to be is going to really influence that conversation. And I think the province will just turn around and say, have you talked to the nation yet? So that's my thoughts on it. Thanks. Oh, in terms of the landfill, there's no room up there. Landfill's going to be full in 5 years. The contact water pond was relocated to try and buy a few more years of landfill life. Should it be in a regional district service? 100%. I fully agree with that idea. But even just service establishment could take several years because it's a legislated process. And again, none of that's going to get solved in the next 2 months.
I quite agree, but I think we would be well advised to give the next council the benefit of us getting going on this so they can pick it up rather than pick it up cold. So it's getting late, and I wrote it, so I'll move the motion. Look for a seconder. No. Okay, any other motions? Yes, Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, through the chair, I'd make a motion that council request the sewer commission to pursue a extension of the lease with the province.
Sewer Commission.
Sorry, just to follow up, the reasoning behind that is that Hiwas Paul sits on the sewer commission. So there's the groups are already working together, and it may be a more sort of it may carry more influence in terms of asking for an extension. Thank you.
When is the next meeting of the Sewer Commission?
Councillor Toth, leaning on you, September 2nd, is that 2nd or 4th? Yeah.
Fourth is a Friday, yeah. Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'm just wondering if staff could report to us, through the chair, of you know, what the status was from the province. I think we heard something quite firm from them, but maybe we need to hear from staff on that, just so we don't start running up a tree that's not really there.
We don't have a recent update from the province, but we are in contact trying to set up a meeting both with the minister and with staff to talk about some of the next steps, possible funding pursuits, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So hopefully we'll have that within, I think we have a meeting just prior to UPCM. So, but hopefully before that as well.
Mhm. Yes, if I could follow up with the sewerage bylaw, sewerage that we were just looking at. The SCRD is not a party in that whole commission or named at all. So we say it's a regional service, but they're not part of the whole framework of it. The idea is that we would charge them accordingly if people from the RD are coming here for the service, which, you know, to date we go, well, it's not costing as much, so we don't charge much. We don't want them to dump it in the woods, or there's nobody else. So we have lots of excuses for not charging.
We
But-
charge.
I know,
Yeah,
but.
don't say we don't charge.
Well, not charging a lot
Okay.
to build up some capital on that whole project is what I was thinking. Thank you.
Counselor Shepherd?
Yeah, through the chair, just to respond to that, we're just trying to focus on the lease itself at this point and not sort of negotiate what the cost sharing will be. So I'm satisfied that staff have a meeting already set up with the ministry, so the ID is being pursued. So that's great. Council can advocate at UBCM. So it does seem to be in progress. Thanks.
Ms.
Sorry,
Caldicott,
Mayor,
yes.
if I could just double check, I didn't
Yes.
see a seconder for that
I-
motion.
I thought that as well, and so
Oh,
your
thank you.
motion is
My motion was to have the sewer commission
approach the province.
approach the province.
And I just didn't get a seconder as well.
Yes, no, so I'm like, so is there a seconder? Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, thanks. Okay. This is urgent, so I'm just, that's why I brought it forward. Yep, yep, please.
Sorry,
I've recognized you.
Okay, I will put it back to Councillor Toth. Do we need this motion that I've put forward, given that the staff already have the meeting set up?
Thanks. I didn't hear Counselor Shepherd retract the motion,
Yeah,
so
no,
you were calling for
I
a
hear-
seconder,
yeah.
so I seconded it.
He didn't before then, yes. Mr. Yates?
I would suggest that maybe you don't redact it. I think there's a benefit to this discussion happening with the First Nation and especially with the chief on board there, to see how they feel about different options for this site or other sites or what have you. We were in negotiations a number of years ago, and then that fell through. But, you know, Heidelberg has expressed interest in our particular site, and so there are other possibilities there, but that would come through the nation more likely now than anywhere.
Okay, so any other comments on that or discussion on that motion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, any notices of motion, declarations of future notices of motion? As I will give notice of, gonna bring something back about the farmer's market and a permanent long-term solution. I also want to flag some things on the lot 10, I guess we call it, up where the childcare and housing, and something about council procedures bylaw. So those will be coming between now and the end of our term.
Notice. Can I ask about that then?
Yes?
Yeah. The other one I'm not going to give any thought to yet, but the farmer's market, have you talked to them with your notice of motion? Like, I don't know what it is, but that's the.
Well, I have, no, our procedures
Yeah.
are that we, anybody who wishes to bring one forward just
Yeah.
serves notice of
Yeah.
the general nature of the motion.
I understand.
Make a couple.
Yeah. I'm just a friendly inquiry to ask you if you have. I mean,
Yes.
that's the challenge with this notice of motion system that some of us seem to love so much, is that without staff reports, I don't know I just don't know what's coming, right? And then have we talked to the farmer's market? But anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Yep. Well, and I agree that's a cumbersome process, but it is the process that we adopted, so. So I'm trying to comply with it. Council, we have a letter of support on page 132. I think that's just for information.
Mayor, if we could just get a motion for receiving.
To receive it?
consent, Yeah.
To receive our own
the
letter?
Consent. No, it's just we receive consent items is all per our bylaw. Our council procedure bylaw requires us to receive them. Sorry. I'm just asking for a motion to receive. It is our letter. It's provided for information as an advocacy item. It's just our bylaw requires with consent items to receive the consent.
Right.
Simple.
Right. Yep. Nope. Yep, because it did, thank you. I was thinking it was correspondence, but it's consent. Yeah, thank you. Seconded, all in favor? Carried. Okay, motion to adjourn. All in favor? We're adjourned at 9:35. Thank you.